I might have bit off more than I could chew with this one. I had no idea what I was going to make for this next set. Honestly, I just wanted an excuse to try some techniques that I've been wanting to practice. I really wanted to make a bright summery set, and I had some nail inspo saved on one of my Pinterest boards. I wasn't trying to recreate it exactly. I've had these ones pinned for a while, and I really like the colors of them. I love the flowers, but I wanted to do something a little extra. I basically decided to just wing it and see what happened. There were a few techniques I specifically wanted to work on yesterday. First one would be using pressed pigment for that aura airbrushed effect. The next one would be working with some blooming gel. The one I really wanted to do was work on my 3D flowers with sculpting gel because they're really hard and I know I need practice with that one. They make it look so easy, but it's not. And then the raised 3D lines with hard gel instead of rhinestone glue. I am still a beginner. I'm definitely still learning. I had no idea if this was actually going to turn out okay or if they would be decent. The first thing I wanted to experiment with was using pressed pigment to get that soft airbrushed effect. I've seen people use pigment this way, or even like eyeshadow that they don't use anymore. I even had someone suggest that I try this technique on my last video. It's the one where I tried recreating these Pinterest nails. Yeah, that one didn't turn out so good. I definitely wanted to try a different approach this time. I really like how soft and diffused it can make the colors look, and it seems a little bit easier to blend than using the gel polish. I first started out with a white base to just give it a neutral color to start with. And after that, I went over them with the pigment to try and just get them to blend together better. And you guessed it, I ran into some problems. The color was there, but it was starting to get patchy. It wasn't blending the way I wanted it to. And honestly, I think one of my brushes was slightly wet from me cleaning it still, so that wasn't helping at all. And it actually started taking off the color and just making it bad. I started to get to that moment where I was like, do I keep going? Do I start over? Do I just pretend that it never happened? I decided to just keep on going because that was the whole point of me doing this in the first place. It was to practice, it was to try getting better, and I know that I can't get better unless I fail. I don't want every nail set I make to only work when everything goes perfectly. Part of me learning is making mistakes. Once I got through that, the next technique I really wanted to try was blooming gel. I've used it before, but it's still one of those techniques I want to practice with. I wanted to make some hibiscus flowers that had a little more movement to them. I started by applying the blooming gel on all of the nails that I was going to use that technique on, but that was a mistake. I don't know if it's just because it was hot in this room, or if it was because of the lights, or if this is just what happens with blooming gel if you don't work quickly enough. I don't really know what happened, but it started getting clumpy and almost like disappearing. I don't really know how to explain it, but it just started to get weird and almost like half curing. And I don't know, it just looked lumpy. So I had to go over them again, one at a time, trying to remove that clumpiness from the nail. It's another one of those techniques that looks really easy, but then when you actually start to do it, it's a lot harder than you think it is. Actually controlling it was a lot harder than I expected. I had to work really fast, and at one point I decided that the dotting tool I was using was too small, so I tried to use a different size dotting tool to see if that helped. Overall, it was okay. Some of them came out better than others, but definitely still need to work on that. The next thing I really wanted to practice was making 3D flowers with sculpting gel. The last time I used it, it was really hard to work with. It was super sticky. It was getting all over my gloves. It just was a mess. But I did see people say that you could use a little bit of cuticle oil to prevent that from happening. I tried it, and that definitely made a huge difference. It wasn't sticking to my gloves the way that it did last time. But then I ran into a different problem. Once I got the little beads placed on the nail, it would slide right off. Or every time I would try to sculpt them, it would move around on the nail. It's either gonna stick all over the place and make a mess, or it's not gonna stick at all. If anyone has any tips on how I should do it, or maybe let me know if I use too much oil, how can I prevent that from happening next time? What's funny is the flower that I had a harder time working with is the one I ended up liking more. I definitely need some more practice with these. I also wanted to practice doing raised lines with some hard gel. I've tried it with rhinestone glue before, and I do like that technique, but I have hard gel, and what I've learned so far in doing nails is that there's multiple ways to get the same result, and sometimes people just have preferences in working with different products. So I'm still trying to figure out which product and which method I like to use better. So nothing's off the table for me. I just want to try different techniques to figure out which one I like better, which one I'm comfortable with. I really like that 3D dimensional look that's trendy with nails right now, but as I started working with the hard gel, I was having a hard time figuring out how much product to use and just like the finesse, like how to get it to be more tapered than linear, if that makes sense. Again, this really wasn't about making the perfect nail. I was more interested in practicing different techniques. And this is where I ended up. Is it perfect? Definitely not. But all things considered, I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think the 3D flower ended up being one of my favorite parts about this look. And I did really like using the pressed pigment. I actually enjoy making sets more like this than trying to recreate something perfectly that I've seen online. Pinterest is really great for inspiration, but I think there's something more fun about trying to do something I'm not comfortable with and just seeing what happens. Why not? Just go for it. So that's the set. Definitely some questionable moments along the way, but overall I'm happy I stuck with it. If you have any tips and tricks that would help someone like me, please drop them in the comments. Thanks for coming along this journey with me. Let me know what techniques I should try next. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.